All right. Dan, you want to start off or Cal? Cal, you start off.
Yeah, let Cal have it turn this time.
What's up? Welcome to the podcast. It's been a hot minute since we've actually, done this. So, welcome. Um, I don't know. I guess we just get right into it. I keep putting it off because I'm trying to grab people in here that have been here since the start, but fuck it, I'm just going to talk about it. So, this past June was 2 years for Dominus. Yay!
Whoa.
Everybody say yay.
Just
Yay!
kidding.
There we go.
Yay!
There's some enthusiasm.
Bees.
Um, so it's been a very interesting ride, I would say, so far. Um, I mean, how should I go about it? You just want me to start at the beginning? How all this shit started?
Yeah, might as well give a brief overview.
Yeah, yeah. Give a little bit of it, and then some a little bit, not too much detail transitioning, but I mean, you can get into it.
And I'll sort of give you the abridged version. I'll begin from the start. So way back yonder. Um, This is probably 2017 or so. I was playing with a group of people on WoW. We had a falling out. I was sort of just like, okay, well, I need a new group now. It was also around the time I started playing Siege a lot. I ended up finding a group called Fear and Terror. Got with them. It was this huge ass Discord, like had like 5,000 people in it, and they had a R6 section. I was like, okay, cool. I'll play some R6 there. Fast forward about 4 months, I ended up being in charge of the whole fucking like R6 section of that Discord. I honestly don't know how it happened, but over time, things started slowly dying out because I absolutely hate recruiting, and I wasn't really recruiting, and that's when Hank came around. I started playing with him a whole bunch. He introduced me to Wind. He introduced me to a few other people. We made our own Discord. Started playing around, messing around, and we all decided to create something out of it, and we ended up you know creating Dominus. Started being R6 centralized. Started just said screw it, let's do a comp team. Had two comp teams, and that's pretty much how it started, and that's like the very easy abridged version. And over time, as I think Nick, you joined us like 5 months after we made our first Discord, so you were there pretty much as we were starting to get things a little bit more organized.
Mm.
And then Dan, you came about like a year later, I think.
Yeah, I'm the newest one here out of the three.
But so like you've seen most of the stuff that's been going on, Nick, when it comes to issues or just things of note that have happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. There's all kinds of interesting things that had happened, I suppose, but it's
Yeah.
smaller stuff, I guess.
It's, I would say more of commitment and consistency with, I would say. It's,
Yeah.
we get the,
I will. Well, I will say that I take a lot of stuff that I saw in Fear and Terror and try to implement it here,
mm-hmm,
because Fear and Terror was so big that it had to be structured and organized.
yeah.
So I kind of do the same thing here, because a lot of places that I've seen, they'll just build for what they have, and then they start growing or something changes, and they sort of get stagnant because people want this or that or whatever, and there's like
Mm-hmm,
nothing there for them. So I try to go along the way of I build for future expansion as opposed to what we just have now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
And,
no,
and
go ahead.
like, I lost my train of thought. I always lose my train of thought. But it's just that a lot of people have been in here, and I probably said this before. It's like this is a nice, homely kind of place to be in, a community to be in. We have our nights where we're just shooting shit and stuff like that, and it's like, and we have our days, mid mornings and stuff like that, shooting shit as well, and
Mm.
I've been here since what, 2020, and I've been here ever since. Just a lot. We have a lot of things planned out. Just need to we're just trailing the mud and finding the diamonds in the mud. Even kind of those, it's not even those two go together, but you kind of get my drift. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I get your drift. I'm kind of the newest member here. I'm newest member of the admin team as well. Newest addition since Black Shirts, to my knowledge. And I've really seen a lot of change even since I've been here since January. It's a lot of changes in here. I know some of the developments, some of the places we need to go. Have been pushing for some of that stuff. Cal has also been pushing for, like, he said he hates recruitment, but he's been growing the WoW community here. We've been growing our community here. It's at the end of the day, it is a server. People do come, people do go. There are altercations, but
Mm-hmm.
Cal said a while ago when one of our partner teams that we play scrims with kind of fell apart. We've seen a lot of teams come and go, and we're still standing at the end of the day. So that does speak to the management. It does speak to the people in here and the community we have here.
Yeah, I guess it's worth something when you have multiple people trying to constantly return to Dominus, because you've got the thing where maybe they're not finding exactly what they wanted here, so they go with another team.
Mm-hmm.
It's the sort of thing that happens all the time, but more than once we've had people come back and be like, "Oh, hey, I want to try, running with Dominus again." And I personally have seen, at least a dozen teams in probably just the last year alone that, we were partnered with or that we ran scrims with or whatever, where they just imploded and we're still perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of Siege and everything, Dan has been working on with. We have made some plans with the Siege podcast as far as Siege content, and Dan is over there taking care of the podcast. I know this kind of lay on the sun, and I'm putting you on the spot, but Dan's been doing pretty good with these podcasts, especially doing the the invitation, not the invitation, but the
Major.
major.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So stay tuned for the R6 podcast. Dan has the name on it and everything. Also, if you're already in this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more Dominus Gaming, Team Dominus Gaming content. We're on our way with some stuff. Please go ahead and look at our Discord and shit like that. Come shoot the shit, and we always got some things going on. So check it out.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the only reason I haven't put out more of those Pro League podcasts is because Gunshy's computer got lost in the mail, so he is currently waiting on his laptop to come.
Yeah. Plus,
It's a good thing he did not send his desktop over mail. He would have lost that.
yeah, but
Yeah.
so soon I know that the R6 season still started this the first week, right, or the second week?
Uh,
This should be the first week, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, no, that
Yeah.
sounds about right. I think it launched last Tuesday.
Okay.
And there has been tons of technical issues with this season so far.
Mm.
I think because I was watching some Pro League earlier. I think the matches just ended for the day like 45 minutes ago. They
Yes, they
started
did.
at 2.
Yeah.
So it's like I
There,
know
there
something.
were there were a bit of technical bugs.
And then yesterday, I think there was a technical pause for like 30 minutes or so, if not longer.
I That might have been. I wasn't really watching that much yesterday. Today I really started watching. I was going crazy.
Hmm. But all right. So I mean, well, yeah. So stay tuned for the R6 podcast with Dan, Gunshy, and was it muted?
It's clutch.
Clutch. Oh yeah,
Yes, sir.
Dan Gunshine muted the R6 podcast. Check it out. It's coming up soon. But today we got a lot of stuff to talk about with gaming and just tech stuff like that. Regarding the Sony made some new improvements, some stuff with some very controversial stuff. Also with some new hardware that's coming up, as well as some stuff related to like OBS and streaming content and everything like that. and also a little bit of Nintendo and what they're doing on there. Um, and I know with Sony today, what was it yesterday? They did a what was it yesterday? The state of play.
Uh,
They
I
maybe.
believe so.
Yeah, the state of play. They released a lot of new games and stuff like that. The new Tekken 8 coming out, as well as the God of War Ragnarok. Some big heavy hitters that was it launched that day. Um, Also, a couple of weeks ago and everything, they announced about their price increase going up to the PlayStation 5 in different regions. So, what y'all think about that? Is it fair, or is it too much? Is it understandable? What's going on?
Um, well, if I may take this first, price increases have been going across the whole landscape. We kind of saw it with the Oculus Quest 2. It also got a price increase of $100,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's for inflation or for other reasons. I mean, I'm not surprised because these things were so cheap to begin with. And to a point, I feel like with VR, you kind of needed it to be cheap, but PlayStation 5, maybe adding those extra features might bump the price up because it's not things that you're waiting to be included, but
Mm-hmm.
should have been included. Grant the 1440p, I told my brother when he talked to me about it and when someone talked to me about it here, I was like, I thought that was integrated from day one, but apparently it wasn't. And I
But
mean, I get that they did bump the
mm-hmm.
price, but I don't really know all the motives,
but
so I can't really speak to it on
the
that.
thing is, 1440p is lower than 4K when they was advertising the 4K for PlayStation 5. Do you think that's a um, valuable reason to up a price, and especially with the VR, like though VR features was in the PlayStation 4, do those implement a price increase for that? And even though the um, the the even though US did not get a price increase, the other countries did. Um, how are we about excused from the price increase, and is it even valuable to do a price increase when it's stated for like a $400 to $500 console? If I'm wrong.
Well, inflation probably has a whole lot to do with it, but I'm also not an economist, so I can't really speak on that portion. Something I have noticed is that Sony likes money, so that may be part of it. I don't know. But they are not the most consumer friendly company. They do a lot of things that I would say harm consumers. Like they take the exclusive type of thing and like go
Mm-hmm.
way above and beyond with it. So um, it may be an inflation thing, but if they increase the price in the U.S., it would probably drastically harm sales in the U.S. Even though there's probably not that many because of the whole logistic situation with actually
Right.
getting them there. But like
Yeah.
I have a PS5. I like it, but I'm also not a huge fan of Sony
Mm-hmm.
because of stuff like that. Like for example, they're really pushing increasing prices for games with this generation around. I'm not opposed to games being a little bit more expensive because they've been the same price for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's with inflation increasing year over year. So they're actually getting less money while spending more to develop these games, which is why things like microtransactions and all that have come around and become, so prominent because, well, game development is not cheap. The
Mm-hmm.
the average the average accepted prices for game development is $10,000 per month per developer. And you look at companies like a large company, let's say like Naughty Dog, for example. Let's take a first party Sony developer. They have something like 250 developers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money per month, and that's like just the average. That's not counting um, possibly extra marketing or spending time developing extra things or licenses or anything like that. Like this stuff can get really, really, really expensive. Like games are becoming expensive or more expensive than movies. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a very intricate thing, and I understand people want the most bang for their buck. They don't want to spend too much money on this and that and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, it's a business and they've got to
Yeah,
make money. Um, but along with that, with how much money some games make as well, um, for the most part, when it comes to consoles, you kind of have to sell them at a loss. Like you can't sell a console and intend to make money on it for the
right,
most part because consoles just won't work that way. Then at that
right.
point, you might as well just buy a computer. So,
Yeah, and that's like average pricings for the PlayStation 5s in the US is they're not at retail price. They're about 600 to 700, if not about 800. They've gone down recently in the past year or so, but that's the average price just to get a hands of it. But also the availability of getting one is still not consumer friendly. When you have to wait for um, a shipment to come in instead of just going to the store to go pick it up, it's even though it's 2 years after its release, it's still kind of difficult to get one in some aspect. Well, for me, it is. I've yet to just want to spend that much money for a console right now when I have a PC, and I've thought about upgrading just because I needed the not my jet engine to sound like a jet engine when I'm in my house. Um,
oh yeah, that's an important thing. How I got mine is a coworker of my wife. Um, he ended up winning a raffle to be able to buy a PS5 at retail,
right.
and he gave it to her, and so we got it. It's like that's some shit if you need to win a raffle just to be able to buy a console at MSRP.
Yes. Like, what's the point of the raffle then? Like, oh, I have the chance to actually buy instead of I have a chance to actually win a PS5. That's that's uh that's
Yeah,
something.
like it's some shit. It's like, oh hey, I don't have to spend an extra $200.
Yeah, and the fact that I can like PlayStation, not even the PlayStation, but consoles always sell at a loss. Though Microsoft has not really done any kind of price increase or anything like that. They've been kind of consumer friendly, even though you can even go to a GameStop and pick up an Xbox, either the S or the X, without any issues. But it seems like PlayStation is just that hot, that selling of hotcakes for you to be able to get one. It's pretty weird because with Microsoft you can either play the game off of a PC or you can get the console itself. But with PlayStation, that exclusivity is really of an issue as far as that.
Well, yeah,
That's
Microsoft's playing the game well with
mm,
accessibility. It's like, oh well, every first party game is going to be available on PC and it's going to be available on Game Pass. It's like they're
mm,
blowing it out of the water.
yeah. Dan, don't you have an Xbox One X, or you just have the Xbox
I
One?
just I have the sad Xbox One.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
it's sad.
And the thing is, they still make games for the Xbox One. Well, most of the new games still run at some capacity, better than on PlayStation. Because I remember what Cyberpunk was one of the most sought out game of what 2021, and that was such a failure on previous gen. It's kind of hard to say previous gen with how they're still available, stuff like
Well,
that.
you'd have a hard time running Cyberpunk when it first came out on a regular Xbox One. You need a One X.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say running anything on a one is pretty hard at this point, and to a point, like developers, they've tried to make stuff backwards compatible because at the end of the day, these consoles are hard to get. But making stuff for the one is like making stuff for the original PlayStation 4. Like it'll run, but it won't run well. So
My
there's not really a point in optimizing it for that.
Yeah, my cousin has the original PlayStation, and he still plays Ghost of Tsushima. I went to his house the other day. It was, it sounds like a jet engine in there, and like I was sure like he still got the jet engine, but the thing is, I understand like if he was able to upgrade, if he had the money to upgrade. I'm not saying he doesn't have the money, but if this availability of getting a PlayStation is that hard for him to actually upgrade to the next gen, because like getting a PS4 Pro is not much of an upgrade still. It's just you're still running it because it still sound the Pro still sounds like a jet engine,
Yeah.
and
Well, you're still going to be paying over MSRP for a Pro too, because people have been going and buying those instead. Like it's just hard getting a console. Period.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's it's I just PC building is more, it builds you for the longer run than consoles nowadays, especially with games and stuff like that. You can build a console with and make it no build a PC and make it for a console that's put on your TV. But we're getting a little bit sidetracked with that. But uh,
Actually, you just tossed up a great segue because the thing is with PC building being so fruitful and most people being PC gamers, the great landscape that we have and the availability of parts we have, GPUs have gone down recently. Like it's really easy to find one at MSRP, maybe even below MSRP.
mhm.
Freaking Hank was thinking about getting a 4080 after he already got a 3080. It's great, and they haven't come out yet, but like he's been looking at it because he got his when he was so cheap. And but the issue is that like when this next generation comes out, Nvidia doesn't make any real like money off of their like I guess their code, like their actual like software. So
Mhm.
they make most of their money off of actually selling their GPUs. And the
Right.
issue is that these GPUs now are bringing upwards of like 500, 600. Cal just sent a document earlier that said like 800 max watts, and I'm like, it's making it really hard to do that. Whereas NVIDIA at some point's gonna have to do what Intel and AMD has really focused on this, is focusing more on efficiency. Intel was cranking a ton of cores, but they eventually realized, hey, pushing more and more power is not the way to go.
Mhm.
We have to work some efficiency in this, and I think NVIDIA is going to have to understand that at some point because people aren't going to buy the GPUs because they're going to be so power hungry.
That and like your power bill is going to go up. I'm not really sure on the facts on that,
Yeah.
but you literally have to buy a higher I want to say PSU.
PSU.
Yeah, PSU. Yes. So like
Yeah,
if
you're
you
right.
if it's base for 800 watt, that's like one price because I'm running a I think 850 already. If I upgrade, I'll have to upgrade the whole power supply to at least about 1500 or 1200 just for
Yeah.
at least to have some wiggle room for like stuff like that. And that's a lot.
That's
Like
going to be
I
like
don't.
$200-300
Yeah.
at least.
Like I got you telling me I gotta spend a this should be I gotta spend graphics card which is gonna be if I get the 4080 that's about 12 grand, right, 1200 right there, and then I have to upgrade a power supply. I'm spending like $2,000 right just for that.
Well, we're slowly encroaching into something, and I actually just thought about it too. Again, talking about something that I am not. I am not an electrician, so I can't talk about it a lot. But
Boo.
if your computer starts pulling so much freaking power, like it's gonna get to the point where your computer and like your peripherals, like your monitors, are gonna be the only thing that's on.
Oh, that's going to
Um,
max a circuit.
yeah, that's it's
Oh,
gonna
You
be
will
like the
have
only thing that's on a circuit. Like take for example a space heater. Like when you use a space heater and you have everything else plugged in your house and on, like the space heater is pretty much the only thing that can be on a circuit for in some cases.
yeah.
yeah, and that
And it's gonna be the same situation for a freaking computer if we slowly encroach and have like a computer pulling 1500 watts.
Yeah, you
yeah
just mentioned that. I was like, oh, I see where he's going with
it
this.
needs its own
Like
That is,
home breaker.
it's a little ridiculous.
Like
yeah.
these are not very house friendly. Like these are basically good for like office type use. Like you can't take the 4090 or 4090 Ti or 4080 Ti home without having its own breaker and shit. Like you need a generator. You basically gonna have to run it on the generator. You have to go buy some
Well,
gas. So fucking charge up
Oh,
your.
and that's not even touching on like if you have an external ups, which in all honesty, if you spent more than fucking $400 on your computer, you should. Um, you're gonna need to upgrade the ups, and those things ain't cheap. I think I
Yeah.
spent $200 on the one that's powering mine, which only has a 750-watt power supply.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I unfortunately do not have a UPS, and I just I don't have the money for it.
What's a
But
UPS?
it's basically when your power goes out, it'll keep your computer on.
Oh,
It's a
oh.
battery.
Okay,
Yeah,
It's
it's
okay.
a
it's just
backup.
it's
All
just a
right.
battery,
Okay.
but
It's temporary as
it's a
opposed to
battery
like a
that
phone.
also helps protect your computer from surge.
Yeah,
I
it's like a surge protector
I
into one.
bought a surge protector when remember I think it was like a couple of months ago. That I think I had a power outage. And then that same week I went to like, you know what, I'm buying a new surge. Even though the surge I had was fairly old but it was still running. And I bought a surge case. Like you basically just a little bucket you put all your wires in for your surge protector, so that way it can
Yeah.
clean up some wires. And it didn't do justice for my wire cleaning. My cable management is still trash. I would love to hire somebody to just cable management my fucking shit because I'm just so fucking pissed off with cable management.
Yeah.
Like
Um, shit, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Um,
I wanna impart some technical wisdom here.
Go for it.
The reason you want it up specific with the battery is because you want to protect your stuff from surging, yes, but if your computer is losing power, that's how you can cause crashes. And you can potentially end up in a situation where you're reinstalling Windows. I've seen it happen many times.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just when you get to these high like wattages, you're really just showing that you're not willing or you can't find a way to increase the efficiency of your software because you're just throwing more and more CPU cores at it, hoping that it'll fix a problem. When in reality, there's probably a lot of efficiency things that they can focus on to just really cut down on that. Like they already came out with DLS to 2.0. When are we going to see a 3.0? When are we going to see stuff where it's focusing more on this and the integration's better across multiple devices and multiple resolutions and all that to the point where we don't have to turn it on in game. It's just something that can run when we
Mm-hmm.
start up a game and it can work across multiple games and it doesn't need like reiterations or anything like that.
Like the core use for gaming, you probably need what, like, was it 4 cores for gaming? And
Uh,
then well, you need like a
we've
good
we've
you could
gotten to six. We've
I
gotten to six.
you can go to
Realistically,
basically for basic gaming you're gonna need at least a Intel i7 or Ryzen 7
yeah.
just for gaming. And like if you're getting an i9 or a Ryzen 7, that's basically for if you're a very computer enthusiast or you are basically doing a one man stream or you're doing a one man like server thing, you're doing a lot of heavy tasks. But if you're gaming and streaming, music things, our Ryzen 7 is what you basically will need because from my instance, I've been streaming for quite a while, um, and gaming at the same time, and I've been using a Ryzen 7. Um, Stuff like that is basically all you need. Or if you're putting a 9, um, that's you're you're having a lot of extra room. Like it's not that just so you won't experience any kind of issues, but other than that, it's like that. And
I mean,
mhm.
if you're going past a Ryzen 5 or an Intel i5, you're probably just pushing it because you're either an enthusiast, a hardcore gamer, or someone is that's just future proofing. They want to just buy what's available to them at the time that gets the best bang for the gut buck or most power, and they
Mhm.
don't plan on changing it for 4 to 5 years. And they
Yeah.
want to just be able to do what they want without changing shit.
Yeah.
That's realistically that's who's going to be buying it, but at the end of the day, you still have to make it so that this stuff will run and run well over the long haul. You can't just
Yeah.
toss it out there and then knock over the blame when people are blowing up their power supplies
Yeah.
because they need like 1200 watts.
Yeah, like and this is like just for people that are our listeners and everything. If you're trying to build a PC, and you're trying to figure out what you're trying to do. Remember, if you get an i3 or Ryzen 3, it's basically just for just home stuff, watch on the internet, streaming stuff like that. Nothing like heavy like gaming or any stream like that. If you're getting an i5, is basically for gaming only, basic gaming only. If 7 is for gaming and streaming music and stuff like, and 9 is just like if you're having your own home server or something like that. That's basically what it is.
And that is where you start asking questions about their sanity.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
if because I have a friend, he wanted to get a 9, and then he wanted a big ass graphics card, but I'm like, why? Like spending this extra money? Like, yeah, you're a gaming enthusiast, but I'm like, why you need all that extra power like that? What extra power do you need? Like, it's unnecessary in some aspects. Yeah, if you just wanted just to have it, okay, but you got to think like, what do I actually need all this, all this for? Like, what I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
do?
mean, there's a point of no return where like, or I forget the exact term, but it's where you start your price per dollar just
Mm-hmm.
starts going up and up and up because you're not getting as much performance as you would. Performance per dollar, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
It's usually for graphics cards around your 2060, 3060. It's usually around there, 2070 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
If you're buying a 2080 or 2080 Ti or 38 or 38 Ti, it's kind of where you don't really need it if you're on that generation
Mm-hmm.
and you're just putting money to have the best of the best.
Right.
Same thing goes for your cores. Cores are a little more infrequent, but it's usually i5s and down are your
Mm.
highest price to performance. And
I.
that we saw that with the 3600 and 5600 specifically from Ryzen was
Mm-hmm.
they had the highest price to performance. The 5600 was actually the gaming king for a while until it had to bust stuff up.
Mm. Yeah, because I know if you get a 3080, that is good for anybody that runs any Adobe or video editing software, because that is like king. I got a 3080 and my encoding has been immaculate.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
3060 is basically for if you're just, again, you're just gaming, and 3070 is just like you just want to have more frames, but that's basically it. Like, and speaking of like the 70s, like I sold my 2070 Super, um, the starting of this month for like 300. I wanted to sell it for 600, but I saw the market and it wasn't. I was being too
Not
cocky.
looking good.
I was being too cocky with my pricing. I had somebody that was like, I'll sell it for you for some gun shells and 150. I'm like, bro, cat, like that's not the offer I'm
Jeez.
looking for. He's like, he kept on coming
Yeah.
at me every week as I was for the past month. I was like, he was trading me something like no trades, cash only. Every time I did a markdown, he did it. He tried to do the trades, but
Yeah.
yeah. But speaking with power and everything, you know, the people that as far as gaming, the company that does not really do much as far as power is Nintendo, and uh, Nintendo has oh gosh, like them, they really do need to like really think about at least put a little bit of more oomph in their consoles. And I'm not, and the thing is, I'm not really upset with that. Like, as long as optimized for like the Switch is optimized for like the portability aspect, but the home aspect, they need to have a Switch dedicated just for the home. Like,
Um,
that's what.
I mean, that's
Mm-hmm,
what the Wii U was, and that kind of flopped. I personally, I think they're in a good spot where they are right now.
mm-hmm,
Because here's the thing, all first-party games run well on the Switch. Um, I would say like a lot of like features people have been looking for are better screens, longer battery life, and they did deliver on the screens, but we didn't really get a longer battery life on the
Q,
newer version.
QLED Switch.
I mean,
Hey,
it was the same battery life to my knowledge.
how about this? Give me a goddamn Ethernet port in the docking station.
They
How
have
about
that for
that?
the
I
QLED.
was about to say,
The
I'm
new
pretty
Switch
sure it
has
does
that.
have one.
The new Switch has that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I already have a Switch. So that means I have to go out and buy a new one,
No,
or at
new
least a new
dock. New,
docking.
yeah, new
I was
dock.
about
That's
Well,
to
what I'm
say
yeah,
talking
I
about.
that.
have to go buy new shit. Like the Switch was released like 2 3 years ago. Like
Mm-hmm.
Ethernet ports, this isn't like 1993. Like Ethernet ports should have been on everything already. Like, come on.
I get you. I get you with that. Yeah,
If you
but
can't tell, we're
Switch
not Nintendo fans
Nintendo
here.
never really did Ethernet ports. I really haven't seen Ethernet ports on their models until now. And do you have the adapter for LAN for your Switch, Cal, or you do not?
I don't play it enough to justify spending literally any
Okay.
extra money on it.
I know, I agree with that fully.
I
Like,
I barely use the dock, if ever.
in all honesty, having an Ethernet port on a home console, which has the ability to connect to your TV, that's an important distinction because some handhelds, obviously they
Yeah.
wouldn't have it, but it's like not having a charging port for a handheld. Like, dude, come on. Like, why are you making this difficult? Just put that on there. Like,
yeah
I honestly, if there's any Nintendo fanboys out there, I do not give a shit about your excuses because it's a freaking Ethernet port. Just put it on there. It's a console. I want to be able to play on my TV without having to rely on Wi-Fi. Come on.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm not as strong as a Nintendo hater as that, to the point where because at the end of the day, most households do have Wi-Fi, and I do understand that it is something easy to integrate. But for the most part, the consoles of the past, up Wii U onward, could have easily had Ethernet. I don't know if the Wii onward,
Ah,
Wii, I don't know if it does have an Ethernet.
the LAN cables like really, to me, in my knowledge, I didn't care about wired connections until um
Honestly,
till a
like
few years ago.
Xbox PC.
Before then, I was basically running everything on Wi-Fi, and now that
Yeah.
I play everything wired, I'm like, if I'm playing somebody like competitively or anything, like I'm getting lags. I'm like, bro, why are you jiggling cable, or why are you playing on Wi-Fi? Because this shit is trash.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to the cable, for me, cable's more so about latency and for about download speed. And for the most part, the handheld console Wii U doesn't really use either of those. You download maybe once, and then there's updates that come every now and again. But for the most part, you really don't notice that you don't have a wired cable unless you have it plugged in all the time.
Switch games
And
don't
that's
really have the capacity to where you really need to require a wired connection for downloading, because their
I don't know,
games
man.
running about
Competitive Batman.
their games aren't really like Call of Duty sizes. They're like 5 gigabytes, maybe 10, 20 gigabytes. They're not very space heavy, because you get a Switch, the standard one you're probably getting is a maybe like a 20 gig. It's an internal 20 gig, and you can get a extension cartridge depending on what you want. The good ones run around like 250, 2 terabytes, but you still got space. It's all depends. And
Yeah.
I know um
I
and
mean,
like
at the end of the day, they don't really. Again, I'm gonna keep bringing this up because Nintendo. I will bring this up to my grave. You really don't have that many games on your console. Like at the end of the day, like
they got
we don't really need to use that much space.
they got games, but it's not the game. It's not like AAA games.
Yeah.
they're like games released in Japan that was silently launched in America that you wouldn't really notice. Like they're like a little gold. They're like little gold mines. Like you have to mine for them to actually see if it's a good game.
Well, there's so you have, extremists like me. Like my Xbox One, I have 200 games installed on it right now. But there's a difference between, being on the
Yeet.
extreme end like me and then launching a console and then having one game taking up like half your storage capacity. Like
Yes.
that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Looking at
Like,
you, Call of Duty.
well, like Call of Duty is an outlier. That's a 200 gig game, but like, because I remember there being an issue when the Switch got released, and you would install a game. It's like, okay, well, now I need to buy storage expansion.
Yeah.
It's like, and
Oh, that's what you're talking about.
Oh,
yeah, and it's just like, people would be like, oh, just uninstall and install another one. It's like,
that's too
yes,
much
that is a
work.
possibility, but
Yeah, it takes work
again,
and time.
you're doing it over Wi-Fi, so it's slow. And
Yeah.
what if you're one of the many, many, many people in the United States that have data caps? Like it's not
Data
as
caps, or they don't
feasible.
have the right speed. Like in certain areas, they are not getting high speeds. I work at call centers. I get their internet speeds. Some people running on 5 megabit downloads, and they run like, why am I getting this experience? Well, you're getting this 5 megabit download speed. Go talk to your service provider about that issue.
You're
And
talking
some
to
of
one
them,
right now.
how much the max they can get in their area. It's all depends on that. And like, gaming has to be to where if you get a physical copy, I shouldn't have to download the game on my game if I have a physical copy.
Yeah.
Why
It
do I
shouldn't
need to
just be
download
used as a
something? The only thing I
key.
need to download is probably a patch update, not the entire game.
Yeah. I get behind that.
Yeah.
It is kind of frustrating. It feels like nowadays, for the most part, those cards are just counted as download keys that
Yeah.
you need to have in order for you to check a box.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying.
If I get a physical copy, I should be able to have the leisure of not downloading the latest patch so that way I can play the game with the kinks and stuff like that, or like update or anything like that. Like, I shouldn't be forced to patch my game if I have the physical copy. I should get the how the game was first sold as is, and then I can run with that. And that's just me, but I don't buy physical games anymore. I do everything digitally because I didn't got the room to hold all these physical copies. So
I I will just intercom there that I am a fan of patching before you actually play, because some games launch with game breaking bugs and glitches that there's no way the developer can know about until
mm,
people actually play it and find them.
yeah.
And for you to go out and be able to buy a game and to be able to get that experience, that it should be fixed
But
for everyone
but
else that
here's the
continues to
thing.
play the
Like,
game.
I have one of my other cousins. He had a PlayStation, but he never had internet. So
Yeah.
we played the game with no with how it was day one, and we
Well,
still.
okay, that's a different that's just jank, bro.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I've
The game
I've
couldn't even register.
I've had to experience that when I joined the army and I finished training and I brought my Xbox. I didn't have internet. It took me a little while to get stuff set up. Oh, and when I got stuff set up in 2009, I actually had to use DSL. That was horrible. Um, but yeah, I was playing, a bunch of games like,
What's DSL?
it's the in between of between dial up and like true broadband internet.
Yeah,
Mm.
It was it was pretty horrible. But
boomer.
hey, just be
Anyways, yeah,
jealous.
I'm not really.
I got to experience all these wonderful things.
Dial-up sounds
Yeah.
terrible.
No, no, dial up is when you tell somebody, get off the fucking phone. I'm playing a game here. I'm on the internet. Don't
Well,
answer the
Oh,
phone.
that wasn't even the worst part. It was the worst part was the fact that it was most of the time it was like a 56 kilobyte connection.
damn, that's fast. Jeez.
I
Yeah.
remember downloading a demo for the original Age of Empires game, and I think it took like 12 hours.
Mm.
Hey man, that's how long my downloads take at home. You were talking about
Man,
5 megabytes download speed. I got 4 at home, dude. I don't know what you're talking about.
bro,
It's blazing fast here.
bro. Back when you actually had to, when you played an online game, computer game, you actually had to wait till the next day for that shit to come back on. Like, the internet, like, people don't, the new generation people don't really understand how internet was back in the day. So it's like, don't trip about slow internet. Like, this buffering shit and all that. Nah, let that shit load up first, and then do what you need to do. Don't worry about all that buffering issues.
Bro, I live in the old ages. I swear how fast my Wi-Fi goes. My power's gonna go out at any moment. Going back
Yeah.
to the dark ages, bro.
What I feel sorry for people that have satellite internet.
Oh yeah, no, that's actually no. They might get faster speeds. Fuck them. Never mind. Fuck
Man,
those people.
yeah, yeah,
Xfinity,
yeah,
fix your shit. Looking at you.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Man,
mean, There's a lot of wild shit out here.
Mm-hmm. Man. But we talked about a lot of stuff today. Didn't get much into a lot of stuff that we wanted to do. Some of the stuff with internet, as far as that, is like is a lot. Like, um, I lost my train of thought. I'm stupid, but a lot of the internet stuff is kind of has changed over the years.
Yeah.
Like
Technology has advanced.
and advancing has a lot to do. But anyways, bro, it's weird coming back after such a hiatus time. And I want to be clear with you why this podcast took a lot, because it's mainly, I do believe it's mainly because on me, and I take full responsibility for that. The reason why is because I moved in the month of August. I was planning on I found a place in August and I moved into September. So these past 2 months, I've just been kind of just on my grind, getting prepared to move. The big changes has happened. There's a lot of things. There are a lot of things. Reason for me to move, but I needed to get this big transition and a lot of stuff that's been going on. And I'm glad that I pushing more content with during this time, and I'm planning on keep on doing it. I feel that Dominus and content has been evolving and stuff like that. Dan here has been doing wonderful with his podcast and everything. I'm going to show him how to do some other things if he wants me to. And Cal's been doing some things as well, pushing out the WoW community and everything. So that's why we're focusing on switching this podcast to be more of a general, just stuff with nerd shit. Nerd shit, that means
Nerd
tech,
shit.
probably movies we can probably go into, gaming. So tech and gaming can be our focus, and stuff like that. We can probably get into more nerdy shit next time. But I really appreciate y'all listening on this podcast. Make sure to please leave a like, comment, and comment wherever your thoughts in, and we can get on with a chat here and everything. And come get in Discord, and we can conversate and everything. And if we like you or anything, probably put it on the guest, depending on how much work you can put in and stuff like that. That sounds kind of weird, but anyways,
Those,
Yeah, put on that work.
yeah. Hey, you gotta work these streets, bro. Pimp Daddy Cal's, he needs that money. Get that in there. Anyways, we see y'all later. We love y'all.
yeah.
Thanks for listening in the Dominus Talk podcast. See y'all later. Bye.
Peace.
Bye bye.